Hey, Dr. Mindy here. Let's continue our discussion on autophagy fasting. So if you're new to this, go back and watch my other videos because I've been really breaking down the principles of something called autophagy and how through fasting and following the 4 principles that Naomi lays out in her book, Glow 15, you can really not only drop weight, but you can slow aging, you can start to heal yourself from the inside of your cells out. So today I really want to talk about carbs. When do you eat carbs? Are carbs evil? Do you need to avoid carbs altogether? I think this is a really big misunderstanding in the keto autophagy fasting world. So let me go back and just re-explain really quickly. There are 4 principles to autophagy fasting. The first one is you want to fast at least 16 hours. The second one is when you do break your fast, you want to break it with fat. The third principle is that you want to keep your protein under 20 grams. And then the fourth principle is that you want to eat your carbs last. So let's talk about why you would eat your carbs last. So this is what happens, and I did this in some previous videos. When you are in a fasted state, your blood sugar is starting to come down. And as it comes down, there's a switch that happens where your body will start to secrete something called ketones. So the minute you go and you eat protein or you eat carbs, you start to take the body out of ketosis and you start to raise your blood sugar. But if you eat fat, it has such a minimal impact on your blood sugar that it keeps you in a ketotic state. Now, a lot of you that are resetters are experiencing that. So if you go 16 hours of fasting and you're trying to tap into this self-repair autophagy and you then eat fat, you now have kept yourself in autophagy much longer because you're keeping yourself in ketosis a little bit longer. So I want to read you something from her book, a quote that really stuck out to me today as I was breaking this chapter down for my resetters. She put in here that ketosis is like an autophagy hack. You get a lot of the same metabolic changes and benefits of fasting without fasting. And it happens when you eat fat and you keep carbs out of the equation and when you minimize protein. So you're literally extending that autophagy. So that's why we eat fat first and why we push the carbohydrates towards the end. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So now the other question I got a lot from my resetters was, well, why, if carbohydrates spikes your blood sugar, would you want it at the end of the day? So the one thing the major reason behind that is that you elongate ketosis. So, and the longer you're in ketosis, the more you're hacking into autophagy. That's the major explanation. But carbs are good. You know, if you followed any of my information on women and hormones, I truly believe especially women need to do carbohydrates, because carbohydrates help us balance progesterone, raise progesterone and estrogen and key hormones that we need in our body. So if you are going to do carbohydrates, what kind of carbohydrate would you do and when's the best time to eat it? So we talk a lot in the keto world about doing quality carbohydrates. And I love what Naomi puts in here on the same, I should find that page for you guys that are following me around. I'll put it in the notes for you. But she puts in here that there was a rule that Harvard University came up with to figure out if you were eating a quality carb, and it's called a 10-to-1 rule. And what you do is you look at the nutritional label and you take the fiber and you multiply it times 10. And if the total amount is equal, if that number is equal to the total carbs or is greater, then you have yourself a quality carb. Let me repeat that. You take the fiber of your food and you multiply it times 10. And if that equals or is greater than the total carbs, you've got yourself a quality carb. So there you go. It's a whole, and you're going to find it's going to be the whole foods in general. Okay, Second thing on quality carbs, and I think this is a key point, and I haven't pointed this out in a lot of my videos, is that when you cook a carb, you break down something called resistant starch. So the longer you cook something, the less resistant that resistant starch is in that food. And so when it gets into your digestive system, it's going to be absorbed quicker into your bloodstream. And one thing we know about carbs, and I posted this in the Resetter group this morning, is that if you eat a carb that's higher on and spikes your blood sugar higher, what it does is it also spikes your insulin higher. And when your body has too much insulin, it doesn't know what to do with it, so it stores it as fat. So those of you that are trying to lose weight, if you don't reduce carbs down, you're going to keep ending up getting this scenario where the body stores fat. And once your body has taken that insulin and stored it in fat, your blood sugar comes down, and then it triggers hunger, and then you go and reach for another carb, and you start this whole cycle again. So how you cook your carbs, your quality carbs, are really important. So the longer you cook something, the more you break down resistant starch, and the quicker it's going to be absorbed into your bloodstream. So if I'm eating raw broccoli and it's a lot of fiber, then all of a sudden what's going to happen is that my blood sugar is not going to rise as high. So I'm not going to get as much of an insulin response, and so then I'm not going to store that as fat as much. If I cook that broccoli, now I've broken the starch down, it's going to have more of an impact on my blood sugar. So I think that is key, how you cook it. I'm a huge sweet potato lover, and we're playing with the different ways we cook the sweet potatoes. So if I put a sweet potato in my oven and I really cook it nice and mushy, which is how I like it, it's gonna spike my blood sugar higher. I've seen it all the time on my reader. I can really see it the next morning. Whereas if I take that sweet potato and I cut it up into coins and I cook them real quickly and just get them a little bit crunchy, then it's gonna have more starch in it. It's not gonna raise my blood sugar as high. So that's key when you're eating these quality carbs, is how you cook them. The analogy she uses in this book is pasta. When the pasta, when it's al dente, where it's not cooked as much, is gonna spike your blood sugar a lot less than pasta that's been really thoroughly cooked. So carbs are awesome. Carbs are best at the end of the day, so you can extend your phases of ketosis. You can extend your autophagy. They are best if they're a quality carb where you have lots of fiber in them, so they'll be slower to absorb and slower to spike your blood sugar. And they're best if you're not cooking them to death, so that you're not just totally cooking them. And please don't cook them in a microwave, because you destroy all nutrients when you cook stuff in a microwave. You literally, by the way, total side note, have dead food when you put it in a microwave. So quality carbs, move them to the end of the day, and eat fat first, and you will extend your autophagy benefits. So, as always, I hope that helps. If you're watching this on YouTube, or this is brand new information and you really want to know more, come into my Resetter group. We're doing a lot of cool studying in there. We're doing a whole fast, and we're actually, in the new year, we're going to do a whole metabolic reset. So if you want in that group, just put Resetter. If you knew about cooking carbs, let me back up. If you did not know about the cooking carbs, and you did not know about the 10-to-1 rule, what I'd love to see you put in the comment section is new info. Just type in new info. That way, I'm always trying to bring you guys the most cutting edge information that is really easy to apply. And I love knowing what information is landing with you and what information is repetitious. So, as always, you guys are awesome. I love being on this journey. Reach out if you need help. Have an awesome day.